Boy, that game yesterday was not pretty at all, but the Patriots improved to 10-2 and get a very ugly win, as I said, over the Cincinnati Bengals, 26-20 in week 12 of the 2025 NFL season. Welcome back to episode 7 of the Monster and the Lighthouse. I'm your host, Ryan Goodwin. And once again, apologies. It's been a little bit since our last episode. Today's, as I'm recording this, Monday, November 24th. Our last episode, I think, was 3 weeks ago on Monday, November 3rd. So, apologize. It's been a little bit, but just busyness. And I think also, last week I was battling a cold, or a couple weeks ago, or whatever, I was battling a cold. So, ended up taking that week off from the episodes. But finally, here at the end of November, right before Thanksgiving, the week of Thanksgiving, we have episode number 7. I think today's going to be a quicker episode. I also realized, too, that I'm recording the last few episodes that when I went to upload the podcast, I almost have to do it in 2 different parts because for whatever reason, the recording cuts off at about 35 minutes. So I'm going to try to keep this one inside 35 minutes so I don't have to do that. And today I think we're just simply going to talk about the game yesterday from the Patriots against the Cincinnati Bengals. It was an ugly one. The Patriots, again, came out on top 26-20. And with it, got their 9th straight win. They did improve to 10-2, although a bit costly because they did lose Will Campbell to an injury. Looks like today the results from the MRI came back. It looks like he has an MCL sprain, which admittedly is a little bit better than it looked yesterday. I didn't see the game, but did get to watch a lot of the highlights and obviously heard about it and saw the video of him getting carted off the field. He had a towel draped over his head as well, probably masking the fact that he was in tears. So that's not a good sign. Usually an athlete kind of knows sometimes when an injury is very severe. So all you're thinking in that situation is that it's probably an ACL tear based on that he was down on the field, ACL, MCL, some type of situation like that. And obviously when that happens, typically the guy is done for the season. So that's never a good sign. But I guess the good news was that today the MRI came back and it was still not a good injury, an MCL sprain. But knowing Will Campbell, knowing how much of a competitor he is as a rookie offensive lineman, assuming the Patriots make the playoffs, which obviously it looks very likely at this point that they will. It's just a question of what seed they'll be in. He will probably be back for the postseason. So that's obviously good, but nonetheless a tough injury for the Patriots to have to deal with down the stretch here. And they have one more game this coming week, although it will not technically be in November. It's going to be on Monday Night Football. That'll be next Monday, December 1st. The Patriots will be going up against the New York Giants on Monday Night Football at Gillette Stadium, and that will be their second and final throwback game of the season. And it's still a question as to what quarterback they're going to be going up against for that matchup for the Giants, whether it will be Jameis Winston or whether it will be Jackson Dart, the rookie sensation this year for the Giants. Obviously, the New York Giants missing Cam Scatterbo since that matchup to end out October in Philly, where the Giants lost that game and most importantly lost their star rookie running back Cam Scatterbo to an ACL tear, and that ended his 2025 campaign. So very tough injury for him as a rookie. And after he's having a really good year and was one of the kind of big pieces of the New York Giants. All right. So anyway, let's get to talking about yesterday's game. Obviously, the Patriots had a couple wins before that we didn't get to discuss. The upset win on the road, I guess you'd call it an upset win because the Patriots were not favored on the road against Tampa Bay, but they beat them 28-23. It was a very solid win, and Tampa Bay has actually been trending down. They got destroyed last night on Sunday Night Football by the LA Rams, 34-7, and I believe that was in LA. And then the next week, the Patriots followed it up. Well, it was a short week on 11 days ago now. Crazy to think. But because of the almost kind of mini bye that the Patriots had, they had 10 days between the Jets game on Thursday night and the game yesterday. And they came away with a 27-14 win at home in the debuted NFL rivalry jerseys for the Patriots. They got the win on Thursday Night Football against the New York Jets, their rival, 27-14. And that put the Jets at 2-8, put the Pats at 9-2. And the Jets' horrendous season just continues. Now, what's interesting is they started 0-7. They actually have won 2 in a row going into that game. And the Jets actually looked solid on their opening drive against the Patriots, but so have a lot of teams this year. But the Jets were not able to keep it up after that. They kind of went away from running the ball with Justin Fields, which I think overall hurt them. And the Patriots led, what was the score at halftime? I think 14-7 at halftime. In the third quarter, they made it 21-7. The Jets did cut it to, didn't they cut it to 21-14? I think they did. Yeah, the Jets cut it to 21-14, but then a couple of field goals from Andy Borregales put the game on ice for the Patriots, and they hung on. The Jets late were driving with under 2 minutes to go, but the Patriots stopped them on 4th down in New England territory, and that ended the game. A Travion Henderson first down put the game officially out of reach and allowed the Patriots to take a knee. And Travion Henderson was really the star of that game too. 3 touchdowns, the first Patriot rookie to have 3 touchdowns in a game since November of 2010, when a very young, promising tight end by the name of Rob Gronkowski did it on a Sunday night game in Pittsburgh against the Steelers. So good company to join there. I'm sorry, I'm saying a lot on this episode today. But very good there for the Patriots. They went to 9-2 and came into this week where we are going to talk about now against the Cincinnati Bengals on the road. Patriots coming in had a 5-0 road record, which is best in the NFL. And after yesterday, they went to 6-0 on the road. Very impressive indeed for them. And we're going to look at kind of how the scoring happened. So in this game, a very, very bad start. We usually have seen some bad starts in the defense, and it was a shaky start for the defense too, a little bit, but a very bad start for the offense. Drake May just looked really off in the beginning. He was overthrowing some guys. It kind of looked like he did maybe kind of at the beginning of this season. And the Bengals took advantage of it. The Patriots had to punt, I believe, out of their opening possession. I think the Bengals went 3 and out on their first drive, but then the Patriots got it back and once again did nothing. So they had to punt. Joe Flacco led the Bengals into Patriots territory before that drive stalled, and it culminated in a 54-yard field goal made by Evan McPherson of Cincinnati, a very good kicker, one of the better kickers in the league, to put the Bengals up 3-0. And that's something I want to briefly touch on too, is that pretty perfect conditions yesterday for kicking all around. We saw a number of long field goals by both kickers made. And from the broadcast, it was Kevin Harlan and Trent Green yesterday on the CBS broadcast. And I think Kevin Harlan was saying that it was virtually a winless day from Cincinnati, which is kind of rare because that stadium right on the river there, along with their baseball stadium, Great American Ballpark. So kind of a rare windless day, not windless, but windless day in Cincinnati. And also pretty ideal conditions, about 55 degrees and clear at kickoff at 1 o'clock p.m. So for a late November day, pretty ideal conditions to be playing in. And the Patriots took advantage of it. But so did Cincinnati. Both kicking games were outstanding yesterday, as we'll talk about down the stretch. So then the Patriots eventually ended up with the ball back the beginning of the second quarter, and this was when it really was getting ugly for New England because Drake May's really bad start continued. Just a horrible pass over the head, I believe, of Hunter Henry, and it was intercepted by Geno Stone, and he ran it back 32 yards for a pick six. And with that, at the beginning of the second quarter, the Patriots were trailing Cincinnati, a team that the Patriots were pretty well favored against this week, trailing them 10-0. But thankfully for Drake May and the Pats, they were able to answer right back. They had a nice touchdown drive. It capped off with a 28-yard touchdown by Hunter Henry, and Hunter Henry just had an outstanding game yesterday. I had him in one of my fantasy leagues, and that was a good day to have him going. I basically helped me cruise to a blowout win of the team I was facing. He had 7 catches for 115 yards and a touchdown. That was the touchdown. So a number of big receptions yesterday for Hunter Henry over the middle against the Cincinnati defense, and one of the worst defenses, if not the worst defense in the league. I don't think the Patriots, though, did as well as they should have against them, and we'll see why in a few moments. But anyway, that cut the scoring to 10-7. And then just under 2 minutes later, the Bengals got the ball back. Joe Flacco has his first mental mistake of the day, a horrible pass that was intercepted, route cut by Marcus Jones at the 33 of Cincinnati. He ran it all the way back. So both teams in the early going in the second quarter had a pick six each, and that one put the Patriots in front, their first lead of the day, 17-10. And, of course, the Patriots, while it was ugly, would not trail the rest of the day. Right before the half, the Patriots were driving on offense, but unfortunately the drive kind of stalled at the Cincinnati 23-yard line. So that held the Patriots to a field goal try from Andy Borregales. That was his first try of the day. And he was good from 41, dead center. So again, the kicking yesterday for both teams was outstanding, as we'll see. Really an ideal day for kicking. Again, mid-50s, sunny, really no wind. So perfect conditions, and both kickers had great days yesterday. Because Cincinnati, right before the half, 28 seconds to go, they get the ball back. And even after the kick return, I think they maybe had 24 or 25 seconds left, because that, of course, took some time off the clock. But they pick up a couple of first downs and move to the New England 45 at a very long field goal, 63-yard try for Evan McPherson. And he drilled it dead center and had plenty of leg behind it. McPherson has been a very good kicker over his career with Cincinnati, the star kicker out of Florida. I believe he was a rookie in 2021, the year that Cincinnati went to the Super Bowl. And, yeah, he was very good that year. He's continued to be very consistent, very good. Had a career-long 63-yarder before half to cut the lead to 17-13 going to the break. And that was unfortunate for the Patriots because they had scored at that point 17 unanswered, and the momentum was kind of at their backs. But going into the half, you're thinking that they're going to be leading by a touchdown, but instead only by 4 points. And even worse for them, Cincinnati would get the ball first out of the break. But thankfully, the Pats defense came up with some stops. Their offense, again, had chances, and this was where it really got horrendous, where they really could have won this game by way more than just 6 points. And it didn't need to be as close as it was at the end because they got the ball all the way down to the 1-yard line of Cincinnati. First and goal from the 1. They had 4 tries. They couldn't punch it in from the 1-yard line. And they went for it, of course, on 4th and goal. They didn't convert. I think it was a pass to Stephon Diggs in the end zone that was incomplete. But luckily they caught a break because there was pass interference in the end zone against Cincinnati. So obviously didn't move the ball forward much, but it gives you a whole fresh set of downs with another try from inside the 1-yard line on 1st and goal. And the Patriots still could not get the ball in from the 1-yard line. That was, again, that you want to talk about a takeaway yesterday, a really bad takeaway for the Patriots was that their red zone offense was horrible, and it's been a struggle this year altogether, ending up either kicking field goals or not getting any points within the red zone. So that's, it shows, I think, that they're still kind of in a rebuild, and they still are going to have to work on some things regardless of how this season ends up finishing. And, assuming they make the playoffs, which, again, it's very likely they will, it's just a matter of where they're going to be. That's going to be something that, they're going to continue to have to work on and going to need to keep working on as we head to toward the playoffs. So anyway, the Patriots don't get anything out of that possession. They go for it again on 4th and goal from the 1-yard line, and they don't get in. Cincinnati stuffs them. The Bengals, of course, take over from their own 1-yard line. That's not a good position to be in, but they do gain some yards, and they get a big run, I think, on first down out of Chase Brown, and he gets all the way, I think, to the 15. So they're out of that tricky spot right there right away. They get a couple more first downs before I think the drive stalled at around their own 35 or 40-yard line. So luckily for the Patriots, they obviously forced another punt out of Cincinnati, but the bad news is that Cincinnati gained a ton of key field position. And so instead of punting from their own end zone, which they would have had to if they gained virtually nothing on that drive, or even getting a safety for the Patriots defense, having them so far backed up, the Bengals kind of flipped the field a little bit, and the Patriots take over from, I think, their own 10. So it totally flipped field position there. But luckily, the Pats go right down the field once again, and again have an opportunity. They're in field goal range, and you're hoping maybe they get a touchdown, maybe make this a 24-13 game, kind of start to put it out of reach a little bit for Cincinnati in the second half. But unfortunately, they can't do that. Their drive stalls at the Cincinnati 27-yard line. And Andy Borregales, again, continued to be nails yesterday, drills a 45-yarder dead center to make it 20-13 Patriots. And that's another thing I want to talk about is that Andy Borregales was very shaky at the start of the season. He had, I think, some missed extra points. He missed, I think, a couple against Miami in that Week 2 game, which could have ended up costing the Patriots, but thankfully didn't, as they still came away with the win. But ever since then, I think he's had one missed field goal to this point, knock on wood, against the Jets on Thursday Night Football. But ever since then, it's Andy Borregales has been nails, and he's been very reliable. Obviously hit that game-winning 52-yarder on Sunday Night Football early October against the Bills. And, he's just been solid this year. So hats off to Andy Borregales again. He had a very good day yesterday, was 4 for 4 on field goals. And a lot of them were not chip shots. I mean, 3 of the 4 were, I believe, 3 of the 4 were from beyond 40 yards. So those are not considered chip shots for sure. And he was able to hit them all. So drills that one to make it 20-13. And no scoring. The Bengals get the ball back once again. They get a few first downs, but their drive kind of stalls. They have to punt again. And then the Patriots get the ball back and are kind of driving down the field once again midway through the fourth quarter and drive it all the way down to the Cincinnati 4-yard line with a nice hookup again to Hunter Henry to get them there. And again, the Patriots have a chance. They punch the ball in, midway through the fourth quarter. They make it a 2-touchdown lead, could be up 27-13. And all of a sudden you're talking about maybe it's still a little too early to talk about, but probably putting the game on ice because Cincinnati, obviously, in that situation, needs 2 touchdowns, both extra points. I don't think you're worried about McPherson hitting the extra points, but, it is an added emphasis. So, so again, you're in a position where you can kind of put the game away and at the very least make it a 2-score game. And the Patriots, again, from the 4-yard line, cannot punch it in. They get a 3-yard run from Travion Henderson to the 1-yard line on 2nd and goal. And then on 3rd and goal, they go for it. I think they tried to run Stevenson, or I can't remember what it was. And maybe it was an incompletion from May at the goal line. But the Patriots, once again, on 3rd and goal, can't punch it in. And 4th and goal from the 1-yard line, the question is, are they going to go for it again? Are they going to just take the points and try to make it a 2-score game? And Mike Vrabel, I think at that point, burned the final timeout for the Patriots. They used a lot of timeouts in that second half, and they burned them. And that was not good because if they were in a situation where they needed to get the ball, they needed to get points really fast at the end, maybe try to go for a game-winning field goal, you want to have those timeouts, but they would not have had those timeouts. Thankfully, it didn't end up hurting them. But after talking it over, the Patriots end up deciding to, I think, just smartly go for the 2-score lead. They get the chip shot 19-yarder that time from Andy Borregales. That was his only chip shot of the day from 19 out. Hits it to make it 23-13. Still with 5:55 to go, though, and only a 2-score game. And obviously, Cincinnati's in a situation where they can drive and get into field goal range. And again, we saw yesterday that the distance of the kicks did not really seem to matter because of no wind. And, they could get in a position where they could try another long field goal for Evan McPherson and make it a 1-touchdown game. The Pats would still have to get some first downs to wrap the game up. So, Anyway, so Cincinnati does even better than that because in just a minute 15 off the clock, they go all the way down the field. And it was kind of a costly drive, too, for Cincinnati because probably their best tight end, Andre Yoshivash, I think I pronounced his last name correctly, he goes down with an injury. Then T. Higgins on a pass interference against the Patriots, and I believe the call went against Marcus Jones. He also goes down to the turf and hits his head on the turf. So he leaves the rest of the game with an apparent concussion. And so the Bengals are down two of their prime targets, obviously with no Jamar Chase in this game because of the suspension. And Joe Flacco still leads them to a touchdown drive. He hits Tinsley, their tight end, one of their other tight ends, for a 17-yard touchdown with 4:40 to go. And all of a sudden, it's a 3-point game with the extra point from Evan McPherson, 23-20. The Patriots, still a lot of time left on the clock, are going to have to drive and ideally get a number of first downs and ice the game and force Cincinnati to use all their timeouts and then just be able to take a knee at the end. The Pats were moving the ball relatively well. They got down into Cincinnati territory, and that wasn't really a problem, but the thing all day was that they would usually kind of stall once they got to a certain part of the field for Cincinnati. And once again, that happened. Drake May on a 3rd and 7. I do want to give them credit because they had a long 3rd and 11 from their own side of the field, right around midfield, and that's huge. Drake May was able to hit Stephon Diggs for like a 14-yard completion, and that gave him the first down, and that was a huge, huge completion because that allowed them to force Cincinnati to use some more timeouts and also for them to be able to run it down at least to the 2-minute warning. And if anything, Cincinnati was going to get the ball on the other side of the 2-minute warning. So very big that they were able to get that there. But another 3rd and 7, Drake May trying to hit Stephon Diggs from their own 34-yard line, or from the Cincinnati 34-yard line. That pass was incomplete. So once again, they had to rely on Andy Borregales, and Borregales once again came through, drilled a 52-yarder dead center with a minute 51 to go to make it 26-20. But the game, of course, not over yet. Cincinnati did have one timeout, and they were going to have to drive for, obviously, a field goal would not tie the game anymore, so that was big. But they could still win the game with a touchdown and an extra point. And Cincinnati was driving. I mean, they had the ball on their own side of the field, kind of just shy of midfield. It was a 4th and 1. The Pats defense not able to get off the field. They let up a 3-yard rush for not Chase. Chase Brown. The running back gets the first down. And then since that was like a minute 8 to go, I think Cincinnati had gotten out of bounds after a number of completions, so not having to use that timeout. But they did have to finally use their last timeout with a minute 8 because that would have took a lot of time off the clock trying to get up and maybe spike the ball. So they do use their final timeout with a minute 8 to go, but they get that big first down on the 4th and short. And Cincinnati, I think, would pick up another first down. They move to the New England 45. And then finally, they would pick up another first down on this time a 4th and long, 4th and 8. Flacco would hit, I believe it was Tinsley, over the head, just over the outstretched arm of Marcus Jones, who almost batted the pass down and won the game for the Patriots, but could not. And Cincinnati, again, moved all the way down to the New England 26 before they, I believe, a couple incompletions for Flacco, one on first down, one on second down, set up 3rd and 10. A nice batted away pass from Carlton Davis, who made some nice plays down the stretch. And finally, Cincinnati had another 4th down, this time the longest 4th down that they would have to try on the drive. 4th and 10, but obviously to keep the game alive for them and to keep their upset hopes alive that they could get a touchdown in the final minute and beat the Patriots. But thankfully for New England, the pass to Mike Gesicki, the former Pats tight end, was batted away, and the Patriots hung on by the skin of their teeth for a 26-20 road win over Cincinnati, and again improved to 10-2, and also effectively end Cincinnati's very slim playoff hopes as they fall to 3-8. So, some takeaways. Obviously, a very ugly game yesterday. Maybe the more important takeaway is not the ugly road win, but just the fact that the Patriots lost some key players. Will Campbell, obviously the biggest one, but also on defense, they had Kyrus Tonga go down. He's been such a good player for them this year. And not a good loss to have there. So some kind of tough injuries yesterday for New England. On the bright side, they did get Ramondre Stevenson back, which was good. And he didn't have a huge day yesterday against Cincinnati. I think a lot of people were hoping he would have kind of a rehash of what he did against the Bengals last year in the season opener of 2024, but obviously that didn't happen coming off an injury. But again, an unfortunate injury for Will Campbell. The good news for the Patriots is it's not going to make a difference with his recovery, but the good news is for them as a team is that after this week, they finally have their bye week. The first weekend of December will finally be their bye week. And again, it's been a long way to get to that bye. I mean, they're going to have played 13 games before their bye week, which is a lot of games in a row to play. But finally, they will get that much-needed rest, and hopefully they'll go into it with their 10th straight win, and that would be over the New York Giants. Hopefully they can get to 11-2 in the throwback jerseys on Monday Night Football. Unfortunately, the throwback jerseys have not exactly been a good luck charm for the Patriots. They have won just once in the throwback uniforms, the throwback Reds, since they brought them back after the NFL lifted the silly uniform rule, the silly throwback uniform rule that they instated, that they put into place after the 2012 season. And basically teams could not wear throwback uniforms if the helmet was not the same color of their, primary helmet, which I don't really know why that was a rule. Supposedly they said the throwback helmets were less safe, but I don't really know how they were less safe because they're still the same helmets. They literally are just a different color and they put a different sticker, different decals on them. That's literally all they do. So I don't really know how those helmets were any less safe. But anyway, I digress from that tangent. But anyway, since they lifted that ban in 2022, teams were able to go back to basically any throwback that they wanted to wear. So the Pats, of course, went back to wearing their red throwbacks twice a year. The Patriots have won in those throwback jerseys just once since they came back in 2022. And that was a blowout win in October of 22 against the Detroit Lions at home with Bailey Zappi starting at quarterback. But ever since then, the Patriots have not won in those jerseys. So hopefully they can change that on Monday Night Football. They also got maybe kind of a bad monkey off their back too against the Jets on Thursday Night Football. That was the Pats' first primetime win at home, I believe, since November of 2020. And that was against the Baltimore Ravens. So the Patriots, luckily, finally were able to get a primetime win at home. And maybe that means they'll finally get a win in the red throwbacks against the New York Giants. I would suspect, I could be very wrong, but I would suspect that Jackson Dart will probably be back for this game. The Giants actually put up a really good fight against the Detroit Lions on the road yesterday with Jameis Winston at the helm. But unfortunately for them, they did end up blowing it kind of at the end, and they fell short in OT, 34-27. All right, I think we're at about the 30-minute mark. I think that's going to do it for this one today. Hope anybody listening has a safe and happy Thanksgiving. If you listened all the way through, I'm not sure you did. But if you did, thank you for doing so. And again, have a safe and happy Thanksgiving. We'll be back on the other side of the break, probably next Monday, and it will be the day of the Patriots and Giants Monday Night Football, December 1st. We will be in December for the next episode. So again, thank you so much for joining today. I'm Ryan Goodwin. Have a safe and happy Thanksgiving, and we'll see you next Monday.